Hello everyone. I'm very lucky because my topic is not about editing. Um, the one I saw, his editing was really great. I really admire. My name is Kosai. I'm a film director based in Tokyo. For the market outside of Japan, I'm represented by Sting, which is a production company in London with offices in various countries, such as Shanghai, Paris, Berlin, etc. I cannot speak Thai, unfortunately, and my English is not my sufficient level. So this invitation from BAD to be a speaker here, it's a bit tiny crazy for me, but I had always been a fan of Thai creativity, so I said yes. But please excuse me cheating with my notes in front of me while I speak. And I'd like to thank to the team of BAD and all of you for this opportunity. Kopun Kap. I understand that after you listen to our session, you will be challenging a competition to be qualified as a representative of Thai for young competition at Cannes and Spikes. So you must be looking for some kind of tips, hint to guide you. Though I believe that this competition is not the end of your glorious future. You will be faced with many challenges to create great advertising, which includes TV commercials or online films or any kinds of film media. So in fact, some of you might have already been creating plenty of TV commercials already. So I'd like to take this opportunity to share with you the tips I trust, hoping it would be also help you in some way throughout your career in the future. You might not know who I am, so while I share with you the works of directors who I truly respect, I will also mix some of mine as an example as I speak. So my speech today is about bone and blood of filmmaking. Sounds really poetic, maybe. But I named this title because I want to talk about the general idea of it and then the fundamentals first. When you create an idea of film, maybe you might have never thought about it in this way, but in actually, film is living. So my first chapter saying film as a living creature. It's like a creature. Film is like a creature. It forms itself, it grows, and at times evolves like living animals. Of course, it's not like videotapes or like a camera equipment suddenly try to attack you with their claws. Actually, though I do have the kind of nightmares because of my job, it's a nature of a director so far. But what I mean is, it's more in a conceptual way, or the way you understand what film is. Film is living, it bleeds. It could grow and evolve totally in a different direction depending on the environment you will supply to it. So that is why film crew like us, whether it's a music video or like features or TV commercials, give birth to films as though we are the parents. Many people treat this living creature as though it's not and fail. Failure is important for like living creature to grow tough. They need to fail many times. And when they grow enough not to fear the failure, that is when they obtain the power to live in the more difficult environment. Also, if they don't understand the fundamentals, they will never be able to grow beautiful wings and fly as a bird. and remain as an unknown bacteria all their lives. We don't want that. So let me explain some tips on how your children will survive in this difficult world of advertising film culture. First of all, what is important for creatures is their bones. Looking back at evolution of living creatures, when they left the oceans to live on the land, they needed to grow the bones to support themselves in an environment with gravity, which made them evolve dramatically. So it's exactly the same with the film. During the time when it was all shot with low film stock, it has to be processed in an ocean of developing fluid. And when it was taken out, it was just still an image. So in order to be remembered in people's mind, they needed the bone, which is a story or an idea. This bone is the most important, and it's crucial for the film to evolve to the next level. It is idea or the concept. Maybe some of you think it's obvious and it's not worth saying, but also as a director, I've just seen too many times, too many creatives who forgot the bones and try to create from the meat, the meat of the film, which is the details and the directorial part. Or they must have created the bone in the beginning, but during the production process, they get too focused on the meat. On the other hand, I met fantastic creatives, and all of them constantly go back to the bone throughout the process. Is this film trying to fly or swinging on a branch? They always stay with the concept, original concept. And if I could add more, I met genius guys like Darwin among them, and all of their bones were extremely simple and beautiful. Ideas should be simple, and through all processes of filmmaking, always go back to that idea and think how to make that idea strong. I can say that this is the most important thing about filmmaking. I myself always go back to this when creating film. And always I question to myself this when I faced with any decision making. So in the other words, when you make a commercial in the future, you have to maybe if you have a simple bone design, the closest way to evolve is to find a director who will focus on how to make the bone strong. The beautiful wings or the beautiful eye is something to come after the bone is made strong enough to stand up. If you have a simple, strong idea, the rest will follow later. So let me show you another example. This is one of my oldest TV commercial, which I made after I decided to become a film director.
さん、何それ
8ミリカメラやから今流行りのこれは撮るでこれ映画やから動くか話すかせえへんと
あ、そやな
Thank you. Since this was extremely low budget, I had no choice but to make the idea and the direction simple. It was lucky to be able to create the concept by myself, so the idea and the direction was developed together. The brief was to promote Raindance Film Festival, which is an independent film festival in London. It's basically a film festival for the people who make their own film with their own hands. So I came up with an idea that when you film an ordinary scene of an everyday life, something extraordinary happens. So this idea is basically very, very simple. Although I couldn't shoot a gorgeous scene like Jonathan Glazer in Volkswagen, of course. So my challenge was to shoot a low budget, yet create impact and originality. I dressed a junior high school girl I happened to know who was really good at dancing, dressed her as an old Japanese style school uniform, and purposely made up a character which no one will ever imagine to dance like that, and emphasize the awkwardness. Also, I made a format so the phrase her father says is refrained again at the end as a tagline again. I took the simple bomb and purposely twisted it to create a living creature that no one had ever seen before. What I tried here actually leads to another important aspect in creating a film. It is the blood of the film, which is essential for the film to start moving as a creature. So, blood of the film. People sometimes say there's a blood flowing in this film, watching a feature film they could relate to. This is actually a good way to describe the power of the film. Film is actually an extremely strong medium format since it catches many people's hearts and influences them instantly. It developed enormously as propaganda during the war era, and then to feature films. So remember that films are quite strong, so it easily grabs people's mind. It is the reason why advertising has to more or less depend on the film, whether it's currently shifting to internet or integrated media. Now, why is film so strong? It's because it is a format that human brains could easily comprehend as their personal experience or to feel that they haven't experienced it before. On the other hand, what's important for a good film is to create something which audience could relate to. I call it the blood of the film. It is a soul to let the beautiful structures born to move like a living creature. This is the next step of filmmaking. So what corresponds to these elements in the film? Actually, it could be many things. Maybe the uniqueness of the script or the location which makes you feel like you've been there before, etc. I know you were trying to make a film in a very short time, so I would say the quickest way to create the blood is character. Character is the uniqueness of the person. It could be the person, him or herself, or some elements representing the person's interest or preference, something human. It's like when dogs pee, you know? It's their marking behavior with its smell. Human can also leave a strong impression and smell by marking themselves in the film with a strong body odors. I'm not saying that you cannot take baths for 36 hours, but when people find a strong character in the film, it automatically leaves a strong trace of yourself because the experience is so direct. It reaches to people's feelings quickly than any other element. In other words, you could even make a film just with characters. Let me show you an example. This is again my work, which is received an award at Sachi and Sachi New Directors Showcase in Cannes, Ryan, 2008.
El choque no se puede evitar.
明美さんからです。また動静を変わってるでしょ。あなたは一度も私をちゃんと見てくれなかった。もう曖昧な言い訳はうんざりだろ。さよなら。なんて仕事だ。東京には800万人のカップルがいる。俺は永遠にこの仕事が続けられそうだよ。旦那さんからです。もうこれ以上面倒は見きれない。俺は出ていく。俺は男らしく生きたいんだ。洗濯は済んでるからな。あと掃除もしたし、夕食も作っといたぞ。言わなきゃならないことがあるんだ。仕事の依頼がありすぎて、もう君を愛する余裕がないんだ。つまり俺は君と別れる。
So this film was for Adidas UK, for the European market. They were aiming to create like unique short film, kind of style TV commercial in different parts of the world. So the challenge was to create a film for the people outside Japan, to portray Japan in a kitsch and unique way. So this project might have been a rare case that the directorial part was more important than the idea itself. They choose to lessen the advertising aspect and strengthen the entertainment aspect of the film. The brief was to introduce Adidas safety wear, which is made of tough and strong material, by portraying a man working as a breakout service. But what's more important was for the story to be entertaining and the advertising aspect to be minimum. So that's why the film is mostly about the character. The location and other elements might also look distinctive and unique, but it's all just a representative of each character, where they might be or what they might have, which all connects to strengthening each of their characters. And actually, lots of characters in this film are amateur or like people in the production company. I actually love amateur people to join the film. Then it's gonna have a different texture. Since this was the style of this project, they let me handle basically everything, so I was very lucky, I have to say. So this is quite unique project, and by the way, the funny story behind this is that this project started with this idea, split up service, which they made up from an image of a chaotic city, Tokyo, which also could be believable to people in Europe. The idea was to make a fake kind of documentary short film kind of thing. Although right after we made this film, we found out this job actually exists in Tokyo. The actual job is more serious, and if you'll see, like a detective. And what they do is they send an opposite sex to seduce a target and capture the evidence of an affair to purposely create a situation that the target and the client need to break up. So very, very dirty city, Tokyo. So it's like the saying, fact is stranger than fiction. We found this out because there was a murder case that the agent really fell in love with the target, and the drama leads to the agent killing the opponent, which made this service known throughout. And what was more shocking to me was that our Adidas spot was used on their company's website without any permission. So it was very terrible. So if you ever come to Japan, you need to watch out. Sorry, I went off the topic. So you might have understood that the character gives a big impact on the film. But now you might be thinking, how could you actually incorporate it to the film you are about to make? Because you think you cannot find great actors and actresses around here. But actually, it's not true. What's important is to draw out your cast character to maximum in the film, and your film will have strong human taste for sure. I'll give you a good example. This is one of my student work when I did a workshop at a university in Japan. I asked students, of course, all non-professional in directing, to make a music video in just 24 hours. Considering they have to go home and sleep, and they only had like 5 or 6 hours besides the class. So their deadline was so much shorter than you guys. The workshop was based on lip dub. Lip dub, this format once became popular all over the world, which people dance and sing over famous songs and share it on the YouTube. So let's see how student could reach in 5 or 6 hours. So as you can see, as a like film craft-wise, the quality of the film is very low. Although the students are full of passion and energy, and sometimes awkwardness, even make this film very interesting. So because of this, I feel that level of this film is actually high. We actually can enjoy more than seeing best commercial in the world sometimes. So I didn't give them any directions. I divided them into groups, gave them each different areas and routes to shoot, and that's it. The rest were all up to them. I gave them advice, but since it was a workshop, I basically let them work on it by themselves. The only thing I said to them was, if you don't release everything in yourself, you will regret it for the rest of your life. I asked them to investigate their group characteristic and let them express them in the film, which leads to a charming film. So this charm of this film, coming from the character they have. If it's not good at acting, if it's not good at dancing, that's okay, Most of them cannot speak English at all, so their lip sync is so weak. But even though their passion and then needs to the passion to enjoy, to creating film, is much stronger than anything else. Actually, this is my personal opinion, but I think this genre is what Thai creatives are good at, isn't it? Thai people are passionate, full of character, and have wide perspective, and hard to accept it. Japanese people are very shy. I feel like you are very shy too, but I think you can open up if you really need to face it. So this is what I like about Thai people. I strongly remember the times when the Thai arts were dominating the Asian market. The TVC at the time all had strong characters. I believe that it's much more clever to grow that identity stronger than to hold it down. I still remember the green tea ad of Green Worm saying like, "Shinmei chodai, Shinmei chodai." Do you still remember the ad? That's fucking crazy, but I still remember that. Isn't it crazy? It's, I don't see that in my TV in Japan. Of course, it's Thai advertising, but I just want to see it. I can never forget. Shinmei chodai, still remembering. That's crazy. So, as I said before, the more originality and the uniqueness there is, the more gods of advertising will be open to let us stay alive. Now we finally move on to our maybe last chapter. Film has to be developed its bone and gotten the blood and then have turned to full of living creatures. Although that is not still enough. The last essential step is to survive by the evolution. So evolution of the film. We come this far, and then remaining time is not so much. So let me make it brief, since it might be easy to understand for young people like you all. So evolution is something which is good to have in addition for good ads. But for better ads, it's necessary. And for the best ones, it's crucial. Currently, ads are evolving in many ways, but when you think of film, what kind of ways of evolutions are there? The times using excess CGI are already over, and now it's more about organic methods. I say the reason for this is the objection by people have surrounded by too many digital. We have finally become to realize that the environment where we live must also be organic. But at the same time, we cannot forget recent technology to make something never seen before. So here are some example of organic, but still flesh, blended with digital and technology in an advanced but human way. I don't think you understand what they are saying because they are speaking Japanese, but it's easy to read. This one should be very easy to read. When projection mapping was starting to become popular, I had always thought it's interesting if it was used to in a more rough and easy way. So this is not even a projection mapping, it's just a projection only. But this actually became the precedent of an integration of projection and human action. But this is so simple. It's just a projection of a Google search engine, nothing complicated. Maybe here is another example. Maybe some of you might have seen this before. This is actually also very simple as an idea. I use the shoes as an instrument to portray how the shoes bend and flexible. I put a sensor inside in it and have created the system. So when it's bent or swung, it reacts to make a sound. So Nike shoes become something like a music sequencer. It's very interesting because first of all, we try to ask this to our a Japanese famous band, but they decline because they think it's impossible. So we were like, okay, fuck with them. Let's find our friend just to be very experimental, just to challenge something we have never seen before. That's how we worked with this DJ team called Haifana. They are very, very enjoying the whole process, even if it's very tough. It was a precedent combining technology, art, and advertising. So it was a very successful campaign to give a big impact to the world of advertising, which is now said to be the first release to what we often see nowadays. It is an integration of media art and advertising. And one more note, these things, everything all has to be real, really done, of course. For the Google one, Nike one, everything is real. And then we saw some cases with these kind of organic treatments of recent films and technology. Maybe so we can go a little bit higher. Next example is actually quite extreme level of modern filmmaking technology. Recently, this kind of style is quite popular around the world. But let's see the ultimate projection mapping with moving robots and arms and projection units. Just remember, this is all real. can't believe that this is all real. This is not an example of advertising idea, but this is a reference of what we can reach with a proper film craft skill. It's all real, it has to be. That's why it's almost hard to distinguish whether it's science technology or magic or miracle. It's quite actually dangerous, this project, because you see like robot arms programmed according to each camera angles. So if you see the guy standing in there and then act with robot arms, if it fails or some mistakes in programs, it's going to kill him. So it's actually quite dangerous. So for me, like if I see this, it's really, I see extraordinary amount of works they did. So it's very, 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 very time consuming, but it's very, very successful, I would say. But now that here is another example, because especially for people who thinks these are too grand to watch now, I think you guys are feeling that we cannot make it, right? Of course we cannot make it in 36 hours, but this one is directed by Mr. Kuwakubo for a TV program called Tekune, which features filming techniques in Japan. Is still quite interesting. This TV program is interesting because it forces different directors to handcraft their own film for them without any budget and aim to find the fundamentals of film techniques. It's called Tekune. If you're curious about this kind of interesting film techniques, you can check their website and they can have lots of references like this. I was also a part of members, but this Mr. Kuwakubo's piece was very interesting to me because he was given a theme of multi-screen and then had succeeded in making entertainment film using just some smartphones. So I'm trying to show you some references that what you can look for in the environment you already have right now. You can use pencil, glass, or like this kind of technology stuff, but you can think, if you can think deeper and deeper, you can reach something we have never seen, only with glass or bottled water. That's actually possible. So maybe this is gonna be the next hint for you to create some fresh ones. Of course, you don't have to do it right now after this session, but maybe when you go to Cannes Spikes, if you want to truly win the competition, maybe you can think of this kind of different ways. So as you can see, it's something you could even use as a technique for advertisement. These type of fresh elements and films that have evolved are nowadays crucial to win an award in advertising festivals. However, the most important thing is for evolution is to grow the area of your specialty. So it doesn't mean new formats and ideas are just in digital or advanced cultures. There's a higher chance of it creating fresh and distinctive ideas from special knowledge you already have. So you don't have to think of using these new technologies if you don't like. Just stand on your ground and start from there. So stick on to yourself. What you like or what's your favorite, it's all good, all fantastic. It's not just your dream. It's a tool to win. Be yourself. That's the how can I say, the last message I want to give you, especially for the idea you need to daydream. It's the most important thing. Dream about things. Dream like, what if I can do this? Don't say to yourself it's impossible. Think of how you can make it happen from different various directions or ways around. If you feel you cannot do it by yourself, then talk to people who might be able to do it. Don't even bother whether you look stupid or not. People who engage with creativity needs to be a daydreamer. This is actually what makes your film evolve to something you never expected or maturate. There's not a single living creature that had consciously evolved to something. If you keep daydreaming and if you keep pushing hard yourself to it, one day you suddenly realize that you are capable of living in an environment you have never imagined before. And that makes an evolution. So what do you need for it to happen? The answer is actually quite simple, I think. You just have to jump into the ocean where it might be full of unknown bacteria. Means experience a lot of distress and be reckless. Don't afraid to challenge new things. Don't afraid to be yourself. And if you think it's tough project, that's the chance, that's the key to go into the next level of advertising. If your brain is tough enough, then it will give you an idea of the next generation. So that will be it. Koppen Cup, thank you so much. If you have any questions, I'd like to talk with you.
Yes, we have question. Arigatou gozaimasu.
ありがとうございます。
So on behalf of Thai Creative, I would like to ask you a few questions. Like what we have seen from your, actually a lot of people here is your big fan. So you done a lot of experimental style of commercial or even a beauty commercial or some like storytelling commercial. So the first question that I'm going to ask you, what is Kosai? What kind of style you really keen to do it?
Myself?
Yes.
Myself, I do lots of experimental projects like this because how can I say? I always think originality and then something I've never seen before is much stronger than the used formats, of course. But I also love storytelling because I love to do features. And actually I started from short films. So
Okay.
my debut was in Thailand at first by making short
Yep.
films. So short films or like storytelling
Yep.
or experimental things is my, that's the thing I keen to do it maybe.
Okay. That's a good answer. So come to the next answer. Because as we know, right now, we are living in quite a small world, which is mean maybe in the near future, you will got a good an opportunity to work with Thai Creative.
Yes?
Before that, over here we have quite a famous, actually it's quite a top executive creative director in Thailand, like P Pom, P Sathit, P Cook, and all that. What you really expecting from creative before come to you?
For my side, if I talk about myself, I expect the ideas to be challenging in some parts. It can be anything actually, because I like, how can I say? I show lots of example of experimental things, but it's actually a part of my job. I think it's quite interesting to show you this time, because lots of Thai creatives quite storytelling, and comedy or drama, you know. So I think I want you to think from various ways around. That's why. And then, but I also love dramas. I also love love story. I also love any kind of things actually. So, but the thing is, how can I say? Is this idea challenge to something different, something new? Is always my key.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, I think we all here would love to work with you.
Thank
And
you.
You need to calm down your quotation, please.
Of course I can do it.
In the same question,
Yes.
P Manop also here. As I just introduced him to you just now, he's considering one of the best editor in Thailand.
Fabulous. Fabulous.
Actually, in Asia, I have to say. So, what you expecting from editor after you've done the shooting? You want them to develop the idea further, or you want them to just follow what you have done in your mind?
Oh, of course, I want to explore from what we got. So I always forget about what we shot in the shooting. And then when we reach in the editing, it's very, very experimental part of creating a new story, if it's possible. So I always love to work with editors when he tried to create something different from what we got. Creating something what's on the storyboard, it's easy, it's in a minute, and then it's nothing, maybe it's not interesting for editors. Of course, sometimes interesting if it's a beautiful story, of course, but creating something different is the job of editors, that's what I believe. So there's not so many editors who can do it or who can think of it even. But I always love to work with editors who have challenge in their mind.